in junior golf. Talent is never in short supply. Dozens of young players show promise every season. Yet it's rare for one name to rise cleanly above the rest. For a long time, that name was Miles Russell. The AJGA Player of the Year had earned his reputation not through hype, but through unwavering consistency. He didn't just have stretches of brilliance. He delivered, again and again, tournament after tournament. If any junior golfer seemed to command the field with both skill and composure, it was Miles. He wasn't a prediction for the future. He was a standard everyone else measured themselves against. So when his name appeared on the entry list for the AJA Team TaylorMade Invitational, nobody blinked. This was his kind of event. One he didn't simply attend, but one he was expected to take over. Analysts listed him at the top. Scouts kept their eyes glued to him. Competitors respected him. He knew the layout, he knew the pressure, and he knew what it felt like to win at this level. In a field filled with hopefuls, Miles was the one who already had a history of closing. Outlets like Golf Monthly, NBC Sports, and Reuters highlighted the tournament's strength. Yet Miles Russell stood out not as another contender, but as a contender. The question was never if he would perform. It was who could possibly match him. His swing looked effortless. His tempo never wavered, and his mindset stayed locked in. To anyone watching from the tee, this felt like Miles Russell's arena. But golf doesn't hand out trophies based on reputation. Every round writes its own story, and sometimes the most surprising chapters come from players nobody expected. He wasn't followed by cameras during warm-ups. There were no interviews, no pre-round attention. Charlie Woods arrived at the Team TaylorMade Invitational ranked 606 in the AJGA. Not a dark horse, not a headline, just another name printed on the tee sheet. His sign-in barely drew a second glance. No expectations, no buzz. And that's exactly how many surprises begin. Quietly. Charlie had competed at this level before, but never in a moment like this. 5 AGA starts, 1 top, 25 finish, solid but far from spectacular. Every swing he took carried a weight most juniors never feel. Comparison not to other kids, but to the legacy behind his last name. When your surname is Woods, beginning from scratch simply is an option. Yet he opened his round with the calm of someone with nothing to defend and everything to gain. No showmanship, no emotional swings, just steady, composed golf. While others warmed up under the spotlight of expectation, Charlie walked out from the shadows with quiet precision. He wasn't on anyone's radar, but each par and each birdie added something new to his presence. Pressure that worked in his favor. A first-round 70 caught a few eyes. A second-round 65 made sure nobody looked away. This wasn't luck or a sudden burst of momentum. It was a result of rhythm, patience, and a plan that had been forming long before the tournament started. The son of a legend wasn't echoing someone else's story. He was building his own, and he wasn't doing it slowly. Day 2 of any event starts with numbers, but it ends with impressions. And on the second day of the Team TaylorMade Invitational, Charlie Woods proved he was far more than a line on the leaderboard. A 65 is never an accident. 8 birdies. Fairways found with confidence. Approach shots dropping like they had a magnet. No theatrics, just craftsmanship. While Miles Russell continued to play the polished golf everyone expected, steady, sharp, mistake-free, something in the atmosphere shifted. The conversation wasn't centered solely on the number one anymore. It was also about the kid making an unexpected climb. Coaches refreshed live scores more often. Media quietly updated their headlines. Players and clubhouses started rethinking who they might be paired with on Sunday. Because when an underdog starts climbing, no one asks why. They ask, how far can this go? By the close of day 2, the name Charlie Woods no longer sounded like a footnote. It sounded like a threat. And it wasn't because of who his father is. It was because of how he played. Some rounds capture a trophy. Others completely reshape how a player is seen. Charlie Woods' final day 66 managed both. 8 birdies. No doubles. Barely a mistake all day. It wasn't magic. It was mastery. While the field tightened up under Sunday nerves, Charlie shifted into another level. His game didn't crumble under pressure. It sharpened in a field overflowing with talent. He became the one player everyone suddenly had to pay attention to. And the numbers? They made the message even louder. Top favorite Miles Russell closed at a very solid 8 under. Charlie finished the event at 15 under. Not barely ahead, but comfortably clear, beating what many analysts call the toughest AGA field of the year by 3 strokes. Reuters didn't label it a surprise. They called it a statement. Not random, not lucky, but decisive. Charlie didn't produce a miracle round. He produced control. Every swing looked intentional. No wild risks, no fear-based layups. Just calm, precise, disciplined golf. Golf Digest wrote that Charlie played with the presence of a seasoned pro. And maybe that was the real shock. Not that he won, but how he won. He didn't look like a kid trying to prove something. He looked like someone confirming what he already knew. And when the final putt dropped, the silence around the green wasn't disappointment. It was recognition. People realized they weren't watching Tiger's son having a good week. They were watching a player step forward with purpose. The score became official, but the impact was only beginning. Within hours of Charlie Woods sealing the Team TaylorMade Invitational title, the golf world erupted. Sports Illustrated, the New York Post, Golf Digest. Suddenly, none of them were talking about his last name. They were talking about Charlie the competitor, Charlie the breakout, Charlie the threat. The tone shifted instantly. He wasn't a name tied to expectations anymore. He was a name coaches had to strategize for. Clips of his swing circulated online with words like composure, maturity, precision, not potential, not promise. Labels normally reserved for top college players or rising tour prospects. Golf Monthly reported that multiple NCAA programs were asking themselves how they had missed him. Charlie's reputation didn't rise. It detonated. Fans followed quickly. The dialogue moved from cool to see him out here to how far can he actually go? His final round footage was replayed and broken down frame by frame. Not to compare him to Tiger, but to understand the mechanics behind 66 under pressure. The pace, the serenity, the self-belief. This wasn't borrowed spotlight. This was earned spotlight. And the conversation didn't fade after the trophy ceremony. What used to be framed as legacy was now seen as danger. Charlie hadn't just won. He had set something in motion, a storyline people were suddenly tracking. He wasn't the weekend surprise anymore. He became the player others would prepare for. This wasn't hype. This was happening. Some victories stay frozen in the weekend where they happened. This one didn't. Within days of the Team TaylorMade Invitational, Charlie made a jump nobody predicted. Reuters reported that he leapt from 606 to 14th in the AJGA rankings. One tournament changed the entire landscape of junior golf, not only because of the win, but because of what it signaled. With his new ranking came an automatic invitation to the Junior Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass, a place where the best juniors test themselves against the courses future pros will play. The same grounds where his father left his mark now belonged to him to navigate. But this time, the story wasn't about legacy. It was about momentum. A name that once blended into an entry list now sits confidently on leaderboards. Some critics dismissed it as a hot weekend, one good run, but the numbers said otherwise. 3 straight rounds under par, a composed, methodical finish. Nothing that hinted at luck. This wasn't magic. This was method. And if you can produce that level of control at 15, it isn't a peak. It's a starting point. What began as another chance for Miles Russell to extend his dominance ended with something much bigger. The hierarchy of junior golf had shifted. The crown wasn't sitting on one head anymore. And at the center of that new order was a player no one could afford to overlook. Just like that, the question changed from, can he keep up? To can anyone stop him?